Hi, I'm Mandouit from the Science of Learning Centre here at the Melbourne Graduate School of Education, and today I'm sitting with Aisling Mulvihill from the University of Queensland School of Education. We're going to talk a little bit about attention, self-talk and self-regulation. Thanks for being here, Aisling.
No problem at all, thanks for having me.
So how did you get involved in research? Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your work generally?
Yes, so I graduated as a speech therapist 12 years ago from Trinity College in Dublin. And since that time have been working as a speech pathologist with children who have developmental disabilities, so language impairment, autism spectrum disorder and ADHD. And as you can imagine, all of those individuals tend to have self-regulatory difficulties with challenges across a host of areas, including managing attention, self-managing their behaviour in social contexts, and managing their own self-talk for learning and for engaging in productive ways. So from there I became really interested in, well, how does all of this work? What are the mechanisms that actually underpin self-regulation? And how can we isolate these and understand how they work together so that we can support self-regulatory abilities in these children? But actually realising that self-regulation is something that a lot of students need support with, whether they have developmental difficulties or not. And in our work in supporting self-regulation with students with developmental difficulties, we've actually, I suppose, extended our work to students who are neurotypical as well.
Great. So can you talk to us a little bit about the Attention Project and the work you're doing with that?
Yes, sure. So the Attention Project initially developed as an intervention that myself and a developmental psychologist developed. So we were very keen to make attention skills explicit. And attention is something that is really critical to self-regulation. And we realised that a lot of students are expected to self-manage their attention, but we never really tell them how to. And that was the goal of our attention training program, which is the Master Focus program. And having developed this, we started collaborating with researchers from the Science of Learning Research Centre in UQ, and they were very keen to put this through a randomised control trial. And that then was used to investigate the effects of metacognitive training on attention in 12 to 14-year-old students. So the program itself is an 8-week program. Students come for 1.5 hours each week, and we help them to be more aware of their own attention. So in training attention, we give them the science behind attention, help them to self-manage their attention by firstly helping them understand what attention is. And then we work through building skills across areas of impulse control, building selective attention, so the ability to have a wide and narrow focus and know when to move between wide and narrow focus, and the ability to set goals and set priorities. So that's really what's involved in that 8-week program.
And what were the results of that program as far as levels of attention?
It's looking very positive. So we collected our final data in January of this year, and the data involves, so the data that we've collected includes brain measures, so using EEG, clinical measures of attention and behavioural measures of attention. And we have just analysed the clinical measures of attention, and it looks like the students in the meta-attention training program have made gains over students who were in a meta-linguistic program and no contact control.
Great.
So it could be a very positive way of increasing attention in 12 to 14-year-old students.
So for any teachers or parents or other individuals who work with kids, what would you say if they did want to, say, assist their learners and their kids in developing those capacities? Are there any quick tips or suggestions or strategies you could recommend?
Yes, absolutely. I think if you're going to train attention, you want to take a very metacognitive approach to that. So firstly, we want students to engage in self-discovery. A lot of students don't really know where their attention skills are at. And we want them to be aware of how ready they are to pay attention. So what is their level of alertness like? And you can develop words to explain that. So how ready are you for learning? Let's check how ready you are, and get students to think about their readiness before they even engage in the task. Some students go straight into tasks when they're tired, when they're hungry, and they don't self-recognize what their body needs to be attentionally ready. And in terms of helping students to maintain alertness, they should only work for short focus periods of time. So I would say setting up little structures where they decide what tasks they're doing, break them down into chunks, and include brain and body breaks into their homework time. The other thing is how they're orienting their attention. So orienting is being selective and focusing on a task and sustaining attention on a task. I think that's really hard, especially for our teens who have access to technology and have ping notifications on their phone consistently. So we want students to be aware of what's distracting them, build their self-awareness, then give them tips and strategies to self-manage that. So think about where they're working, what kind of distractors are there in that workspace, and how do they limit those distractions. That might be, arranging with a parent that they put their phone aside for 20 minutes, and then that phone becomes their 5-minute brain and body break. They can use that then. Or they go outside and kick a ball, or they drink some water. One of the things that I think students have the most difficulty with, and I think that as parents and teachers, some of us support this really well and others don't, it's being proactive in self-managing our attention. So students need a lot of support even when they're older in setting goals and priorities. So we really want students to be very clear about the learning goals that they're engaging with and helping them figure out how they're going to achieve those goals. We also want students to really understand how their own attention works. So if they are engaging in homework time, that they know what works for them. So talking to them very openly about their own attention and helping them to visualize future outcomes. So thinking about the consequences of sticking with a task and maintaining attention to that task. So they're just a few little tips and pointers.
Some really good ones. The other thing I wanted to speak to you about was this notion of self-talk, another part of your research. And obviously self-talk is, really closely linked to self-regulatory behaviour as well.
Yes.
So can you give us a little snapshot about what that is all about as well?
Yes, so my research in self-talk looks at the development of self-talk in 3 to 5-year-old children. And self-talk is something that is, I suppose, well known across the realms of education and psychology. It's one of those skills that's supposed to support self-regulation, and the belief is that the talk or the regulatory talk that teachers and parents use become internalized by children as their own self-talk. And what I'm really interested in is understanding how self-talk might develop differently across children, those who are typically developing and those who have challenges with their development. So we're looking at aspects such as IQ, language, executive functioning skills, and what influences the development of self-talk in these 3 to 5-year-olds. If we can isolate that at an early age, we might be in a position to actually know how to support self-talk development and have children going into school with very productive use of self-talk. Because self-talk is a lot more than using positive or negative self-talk, and that's certainly our broad understanding of it. But it's also, how are we using our self-talk to engage in learning? How are we using it in a problem-solving way? And a lot of children with self-regulatory difficulties use self-talk in a very reactionary way, like, I can't do it, rather than actually thinking and planning before they engage in a task. So we want them using their self-talk before they even engage in tasks. And that's certainly what I'm seeing already in 3 to 5-year-olds.
Right.
That those who are much better at engaging in a task use their self-talk before they even engage in that task.
So again, any tips or strategies for parents and educators?
Yes, definitely. I think a lot of us are embarrassed to use our self-talk as adults or use it out loud. It's certainly going on as chatter in our head all the time. And to know that self-talk, firstly, in young children is okay. It's reflecting the fact that they're engaging in learning. So if you hear self-talk happening, let it happen. It's kids are using it to engage in learning tasks. Notice what they're saying. Notice how effective it is. Do we need to jump in and scaffold them on a task because their self-talk is letting us know how they're engaging in that task? But also model your use of self-talk. So as a parent particularly, I often say to parents, when you're engaging in tasks at home, use your self-talk out loud. Let your children hear you talk to yourself. And that might be showing them that we can use self-talk to get us through emotional challenges. We can use it to guide our thinking. We can use it to manage our own attention. So if, for example, a parent is rushing out the door, use your self-talk out loud. Okay, I'm about to leave. What do I need to get? And naming out all of the things that you're about to do. Or if you're doing a challenging task, this is hard. Wait a second, what can I do to make this a bit easier? I can go and get some help. I can have someone show me how to do it. That if you're actually showing that self-talk, we're showing students how to engage in a more productive way.
And I can see that happening just as much in the classrooms where a teacher might learn
absolutely.
as a parent in the home.
And to think that the feedback that we're giving is becoming the internalized self-talk that students are using also. So if we're giving constructive, descriptive feedback, that's the type of language that's being integrated or internalized as self-talk also. So feedback is critical for self-talk.
Well, great. Thank you very much, Aisling. Great conversation about attention, self-talk and self-regulation, and good luck with your research.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.